Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Talk Show with Daryoush. We have a new guest tonight, Robert Blakely, also known as the Blakester, and also Kurt Roskopf, my friend. Tonight, we talk about two important things. First, about the Facebook and privacy, and another topic, which is a new series of talks in our show, is about the online sales marketing and sales psychology. We talk about the Facebook and WhatsApp, and they track all our activity and what shall we do. Millions of people, it seems that they have removed and uninstalled WhatsApp and Facebook Messenger from their phones, but there are still trackings. I removed both of them from my phone, and 2 weeks later, when I accidentally checked some part, one section actually in the Facebook, I noticed that it has recorded my recent activities on my phone when I opened uh, LinkedIn and some other apps on my phone. So I don't have any WhatsApp on my phone. I don't have any Facebook Messenger on my phone. The only Facebook product that I have on my phone is Instagram. How do they still tracking my activity? Is Instagram also tracking our activities? There is a section there. I will show you how you can delete these activities from your Facebook, and as they claim, you can stop it. I don't trust them, but you can try it. What I do at the moment, I do not log into the Facebook with the normal browser. I use Tor browser. With the Tor, first I open the Tor, and then I open the Facebook on the Tor browser. This is how I am connected to the Facebook once a day, usually. Not always, sometimes twice, every 2 or 3 days. One, maybe I open it by Facebook once, but this is it seems this is the safest way to use the Facebook without tracking our activity, using a separate browser, a secure browser, and if you have any other kind of secure browser, you can use it in order to, and do not open any other further tab on your browser. And when you finish using your Facebook, close the browser completely, and then open it again if you want to do something else. And here you will see how we can stop this. Okay, I hope you can enjoy it, try it, and see how it will go. Do they still track your activity or not? Trying it is not so difficult. Just use some specific keywords and see if you started to see advertisements about that subject. It means there's still some hidden uh, scripts on your device or your computer that they are recording your talks, your activities, and sell your information to get advertisement and show you advertisements. Anyway, from today we start a new series of talks about the internet activities, which is about the marketing and sales. Any website owner is doing SEO, which is search engine optimization, in order to make their website to be found easier and faster, and having more visibility means having more visitors. And if you have an e-commerce website, it means having more potential buyers. But just doing SEO is not enough. Doing SEO is a very tricky part. You need to have a very good coded page without any error, without any missing code, good content, calculated use of keyword or series of keywords for that every single page, and then okay, you are found. People will find you. But how to increase the possibility of sales? This is the specialty that my old friend Robert Blakely will from today will talk to you about it. Robert? Robert?
Hello, hello, hello. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. Had to get unmuted and find the buttons and stuff. How's it going, brother?
Great.
Good, good. So first off, thanks for inviting me.
Thanks for joining us. What is sales psychology?
Sorry.
Would you please tell us about sales psychology and why it is important?
Sure, but before I get into that, and first off, great question, but before I get into that, before we started this, I was trying to explain to you, I'm having an absolute fabulous time training your daughter. Hey, and the reason I say that too, and I was explaining to her, I said, the fact that she's young and doesn't have a bunch of bad habits to break, it's even better. And throughout the course of even the last hour, she's picked up quite a bit from just role playing a little bit and going back and forth. So to answer your question and kind of dive into things, what is sales psychology? In generally, you know, you have to understand, we as people, we do certain things. So there's a certain psychology to our behavior, right? And, you know, you can dive in as deep as you want to. I've been diving into the psychology of sales for over 20 years. In essence, it's understanding how we as humans look at sales in an overall perspective, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, as I teach, you know, there's different types of customers that you're going to run into. So it's a good thing to know how each one of those customers actually relate when you're speaking to them about whatever it is that you're selling them, in essence, right? So, but when people understand the psychology behind the things that I teach, it makes it a lot simpler for people because they gain that knowledge, which gains confidence, which gains the ability for them to speak to other people about what it is that they're selling. So, as I mentioned to your daughter, what I teach is, in essence, it's kind of the art of selling without selling and not going into, you know, like being too pushy, if you will. You know, because you don't want to just force things onto people. You don't want to push things in their face. They may not even need what you have, right? But that's in essence what I can sum up to regard to what sales psychology is. It's knowing and understanding the behavior of other people and how it relates into a sales environment.
Okay. What is important? In so many cases, people do SEO on their website and they have visitors, but visitors do not make order, do not make any purchase. This means there is a sales issue on the process of that page on the website. What can
Correct.
be those problems and what are the suggestions? Of
Ooh,
course,
that's
one single recipe does not apply to anyone. In general, what
right.
must be done?
Okay, that's what I was going to say. That's a pretty broad topic, and it really depends on what niche you're in. But overall, as a whole, every company, every business, every entrepreneur should literally be focusing on building a list of qualified buyers. Now, there's a difference between having a list of people and a list of qualified buyers, right? I'm
Mhm.
sure maybe you've heard that, because I can have people on my list all day, but if they're not buying, it doesn't do me any bit of good, right? So from a business perspective, if you have, let's say even a brick and mortar business, and you're having people coming into your business, yeah, they're customers, that's great. But I would try to transition those people online onto your list because you know that they're already buying. So let's say you have that brick and mortar business. If at any time that business is low, all you have to do is shoot out a quick email. You know what I'm saying? And maybe put a 10% sale off. Same thing goes with an online business. If you have like a traditional MLM business, if you're not building your list of qualified buyers to be able to say, hey, well, this week we're having a 10% discount, or maybe they're having a Valentine's special, right? You need to have an audience overall. So there's different ways that you can do that. And, if you're not building that list, the other object is, most people come to Facebook because it's the largest social media, right? But even on Facebook, it takes time for you to groom your audience, as we like to call it, to what I call building a buying atmosphere, right? Because you don't want to, even out on Facebook, you don't want to just push your information out there. The way I like to say it too is you want to kind of guard what you have, and you can use whatever you want as far as what I say here. I guard it as like my last cookie, you know,
Mhm.
make it your last whatever it is. So your website and your business, you have to understand it's you want people to know about it, but it's not like you have to go and give away your last cookie is what I'm kind of getting at. I like to use the art of drawing people in, people want to know, well, what is that cookie? And can I get a bite? Can I get a piece of that cookie? If you have people that are like more curious to what you're doing, it's a lot easier to be able to sell them your products, right? But overall, I think I kind of went on a tangent there, which I can do from time to time. But website with video and some kind of subscriber way to have people subscribe. Those would be the three main things to answer your question, original question.
So, just SEO is not enough. Finding the
No,
right target audience is more important than the SEO.
absolutely.
So, how to do the SEO to find the target audience, to reach them?
Well, are you asking me how do I do SEO?
Yes.
Okay, well, first off, you're the SEO expert. You're the website programmer, like we say. You've heard me say, I'm not a mechanic and I won't pretend to be. So I'm not an SEO guru or anything like that. I do know from my practical experience, back when I used to use WordPress, there are SEO plugins that you can use to tailor to your audience based off of what you're selling. The tools that I use now, as you know, is Builderall. So that SEO is actually built in whenever we build a funnel or a page. We just have to go in and put those keywords in. So I guess to boil down what you're probably looking for is the keywords are going to be relevant depending on what it is that you're selling, right? So you can sit down. The best way to do that, I would say, is let's sit down and look at what your actual product is. Now, what does that product actually solve in the marketplace? And write that down. So now reverse engineer it, right? Let's say, so what if that person doesn't have your product? What can happen? You know what I'm saying by that? Like, for example, if it's health and wellness, well, if they have diabetes and this helps get rid of diabetes type 2, well, what will happen if they don't get it? Well, they can have worse symptoms. And what are those symptoms? Well, they could do this, they could do that. And what happens if they get that? Well, they could possibly die, right? So by writing all those things out, you get a clear picture of what it is that your product does and what happens if people don't get it. Use those words to kind of tailor your audience, you know? So I would use any of that information within the keywords. Most of them are going to be whatever the important relative words are. You know what I mean by that? Like not the ifs, ands, and buts, but like death, dehydration, metabolic acidosis, for example. You know, if you're talking about the health and wellness industry, if you're talking about, well, let's say a roofing company. And again, we're just speculating and I'm just grabbing stuff off the top of my head, just showing that it can be done for any niche. Well, okay, roof, what happens and how do they get their business? Well, primarily in the roofing industry, they're going to wait for hail damage. That's the best thing. You know, once they get hail damage, well, they can go knock on people's door and say, hey, well, we can offer you to be able to fix your roof or whatever else, nothing out of pocket, blah, blah, blah. It solves a problem. And maybe that customer doesn't even know that they have the problem or even care, right? But in essence, you know, part of being able to pitch that person or put those keywords into the website are again, well, what happens if they don't fix their roof? Well, eventually it's going to get water in. And what happens if water gets inside the house? Well, it's going to rot the wood. What happens if it rots the wood? Then we get mold. Well, what happens if we get mold? We all get sick and we all die. Right? So, and it may seem like it's an extreme, but if you can get people to understand what that extreme outcome is, if they don't do it, then it's a lot easier again for them to say, yeah, I need that service. Does that
So
kind of answer your question?
yeah, so basically, uh, calculated keyword is the
Hey,
most important part.
and remember, basically is a bad word, so you shouldn't be saying that. So rephrase your question. How do you mean?
I believe based on what you say, keyword is the most important part. I've seen people that they ask, I want my website to be optimal, to do SEO for on my website for the keyword best. I remember one they asked for best hotel in their city. I told
Okay.
them, look, this is the worst keyword that you can search for because no one searches like that. Best hotel in this city are clear which ones are. This is it. There are Hilton Hotel, Hyatt Hotel, Sheraton Hotel. No one looks for like that, searches like that. And people do not search like a robot. They search
Right.
like a human. And you have to think as yourself trying to find something. How do you search
Right.
for it? Select the keyword for your own website, for your own product this way, and this will help you get better results.
Right. And as you were saying that, you know, how my mind works, this stuff just flowed in there. And it's true because if you're not using keywords that are like relative, well, if I wanted this product to save my life, how would I look for it? Those are really the keywords that you want that are the most important, but also the content, the actual content that's there. And understand something, not to say that anybody's going to even read the content, right? Because if you have a good enough video that explains everything to them, that actually sinks into their brain, they're not even going to read. You look at even emails that come through your email today, right? If you know you subscribed on that email list, you pretty much don't want to read the whole thing. I'm not saying that people don't, but most people will go in, they'll see the link, they click, they go get the information. You understand? Because
Yeah.
we have the attention span of gnats. We want the information right now, right now, right now, right now. In fact, we want it yesterday, right? So content is obviously important, and where that content is the most important is to have that video, right? So on that page, video, your content, you know, and obviously a place to where they can subscribe. And then when you do get them as subscribers, right, you want to do what we in the industry called segmenting your list. And those that actually do buy from you, now those people go on a different list. That is your buyer's list. See how we did that, folks?
Thank you. Unfortunately, we are reaching to the end of our time. Uh, if you have any questions from us, from Robert, or any opinion wanted to talk about, you can contact. Feel free to contact us to questions@aranet.tech. We would be definitely contact you and invite you to join us on another session, or we'll answer to your questions on the next episode. Thank you for joining us, and have a good night and good weekend.
Bye.
Thank you.
Choo choo. Love you. Bye bye.
Bye.